All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of my podcast. The podcast has now fully shifted to the Inner Republic. Now, people who have followed me for a while, I've had so many different things: Simple Man's Guide to the Good Life, the Stellar Stoa, now the Inner Republic. The reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to consolidate things. Over the past 5 years, I have started projects, ended projects, started Substack, stopped Substacks, started podcasts, and I'm trying to just consolidate everything and just be consistent. For me, the year of 2026 is about consistency. Okay. I'm not doing this for me, which is, I think, why I've stopped so many times. I'm doing this because I really have delved into my purpose and that is helping other people. So this isn't about me. With that, though, I'm trying to consolidate everything. So Sean_Ranny, that's like me, right, on Instagram and on YouTube. And then as far as like longer form content, it's the Inner Republic. And that's that. And then the Citadel is the online community. Okay. So Inner Citadel is where you're going to find the podcast. It's being distributed out through Substack, but it'll be on Spotify, it'll be on iTunes, etc. If you're listening to this, the video will be up on YouTube as well. And then also there will be a weekly Substack article that's just kind of like a written version of this podcast. So for those that would rather read, you're going to get a written version. For those that would rather listen or watch, you got the video, you got the audio. So again, Inner Republic is where this podcast is going to live. It's where my writings are going to live. Sean_Ranny is where videos are going to live, Instagram, etc. That is for now. Again, the coaching aspect where eventually people can work with me one-on-one. I'm going to be doing some seminars and etc. later on in the year. That's going to be something else. But for now, as far as content is concerned, we'll say that content, that's where everything is living. Coaching lives in a different realm. So Citadel, online community, Sean_Ranny, YouTube and Instagram, and then Inner Republic for the podcast and the written articles on Substack. Okay, so here we are. Last week, if you listened to the podcast, we talked about the optimization epidemic, the optimization trap that everybody's kind of locked into these days where they're tracking their health, but we're not that much healthier. We're tracking things for our happiness and we're not that much happier. Okay. I want to take a layer deeper here on who I'm talking to. So if you're watching this podcast or you're, listening or whatever it is, my guess is you are some form of a self-proclaimed high achiever. Why do I say that? Because most people that get into self-betterment work or philosophy or working out, like however you found me, however you've gotten here, you maybe either consciously or subconsciously probably put yourself into this bucket of somebody who prides themselves on being a high achiever, or somebody who has worked to become a better version of themselves. Maybe you pride yourself on being of service for other people, whatever it may be. But my guess is you have done things in your life that you are proud of, as you probably should be. But now you're here and you're always looking for that kind of next thing. How can I get better? How can I be better? And I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the person right now who feels like they have read all the self-help books. I'm talking to the person right now who has felt like they have done every kind of workout regimen. I'm talking to the person right now who has felt like they have done every kind of diet. I'm talking to the person right now who has felt like they've listened to every single podcast, whether it be a health podcast, a mindfulness podcast, whatever it is. And I'm talking to the person who has tried every kind of supplement stack. And yet you still feel like there's something else that you haven't fully actualized, or your health isn't fully all the way there. I'm talking to you, okay? And the reason I'm talking to you is I have been one of you. And in many ways, I still am you, right? But I'm talking to the person who feels like I've done all of this work on my health, on my happiness, and I still feel sick or not healthy as I could be, or not as happy as I could be. What is going on? This podcast is for you today. Okay. Now, if you're not that person, I still think you could find value in this. But if you know somebody in your life who is this person, send it to them, because this is who I'm talking to today. I'm going to give you a little bit of my background to kind of hopefully relate to you if you're listening, so you can know I'm just not blowing smoke up your ass. Like, this is not just, right? It's coming from a place of my past. And then I want to talk about some things that can help you feel like maybe integrating all of this work you've done on yourself. And hopefully after this podcast, you have a little bit better sense of what you can do and how you can interact with reality in a way where maybe you integrate some of the things you've done over however many years you've been doing this stuff. So Why do I feel like I can talk to you, the high achiever who has tried everything? Like I said, I'm one of you, and my background. If you've been following me for a while, you probably know what it is. But like many of you, I grew up in a chaotic household. Parents who loved me and still love me deeply, and were doing their best, but had their own traumas, had their own unhealthy coping mechanisms. And like many millennials, right, those parents maybe didn't have the tools or didn't know how to do the work. And that got layered onto me. I was in a household where, yeah, I had to end up figuring out emotionally how to maybe parent one of my parents, how to read the room. There was chaos. Okay, there was chaos in my household, and I had to grow up early and figure out how to manage that chaos. A lot of high achievers, that's where you come from. High achievement usually comes from a place in the past of having to grow up sooner, probably than you needed to, and then having to probably feel like you needed to produce or be of service in some way to have value, either to your family or to those around you. And then it gets pervasive as it keeps going on because you get rewarded for it. But high achievement usually comes from somewhere around your childhood. So that was my childhood. I talk openly too about what happened with my sister battling leukemia. And that last conversation I had with her before she died was, you have to go live your life for yourself. And at that point, I felt like I was living my life maybe for my family, going to a college I didn't want to go to. And what I heard in my 19-year-old brain, right, was, go do the thing, Sean. Like, whatever you put your mind to, go do it. Like, go live your life. I didn't hear the happiness and integration and all those things. And so my sister passes away, and I go out and I achieve, right? I use this rocket fuel, this jet fuel of my sister's passing in that last conversation to just propel me to achievement. I become the first in my family to not only really go to college, but to graduate college. During that time, I end up becoming a CrossFit coach. At the time that CrossFit is taking off, I'm getting my degree. I'm getting coaching certifications. I'm becoming an incredibly high level elite athlete in CrossFit. All of these things, right? Achievement, 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 achievement. Everybody around me is like, wow, this kid's really got it together. He's really going places. He knows what he wants. Everything is going great. I'm a high achiever. Underneath all of that, though, is me stuffing down trauma from my childhood, using that trauma, right? Using achievement to kind of numb myself, be like, look, everything's good. I can't sit with myself, right? If I sit with myself for too long, I think of these things and I don't want to do that. So I just keep going, moving forward. If I move forward, I'm not looking to the past, right? And then with my sister passing away, right? I don't have to think about that. I'm numbing myself with this achievement. And then we get all the way up to 2020. And again, I talk about this story. I have my panic attack. And after that panic attack, I realize I need to address some things. Now, as we sit here 6 years later from that panic attack and, stoicism and mindfulness and all these kinds of things, I, last year in 2025, become a functional health practitioner. And in becoming a functional health practitioner with FDN, I have to go through a year-long mentorship and everything. And my mentor, we look over my functional labs, right? This is hormones, this is gut, all of this kind of stuff. I'm thinking it's going to come back pretty strong. Like I'm incredibly fit. I take the time to focus on my diet. I take all the right supplements. I do everything right. Like I'm an achiever, right? And test results come back, and my mentor sits down with me and pretty much looks at him and goes, hey, listen, you're on a fast track to autoimmune disease. And I'm like, what? How is that possible? Right. And she says to me, you are the picture perfect example of somebody who on the outside looks the part and has done all of the right things and will be burned out by the time you hit your 40s. Like the entrepreneur trap, right? If you're an entrepreneur listening to this is so many entrepreneurs. Okay. She's told me, you have sacrificed your health on the altar of two things: fitness and external validation and achievement. And that hit me like a ton of bricks because I knew in my heart of hearts, she was right. She was right. And I had to sit with that and ask myself, what do I actually want? Do I want external validation? Do I want achievement, or do I want actual health? Right? And this is the hard part as high achievers, as entrepreneurs, as people who do CrossFit. We do, and we do it in this idea of it being like the right thing to do, but it's the doing that is taking away from our health, our relationships, our happiness. Okay. Now, we have to do things in society, but it's this continual doing, right? This continual moving forward without asking ourselves a deeper question of why are we even doing any of this? And so that's what I had to do after I was confronted with that. What I realized was the trauma that I'd been working through logically was still layered. It was layered into my nervous system. My hormones, my stress hormone panel, completely tanked. Okay, so we're talking completely collapsed cortisol, right? Meaning I'm in fight or flight for too long. My DHEA is really, really high, meaning it's trying to rebound from this. And so I had to change my training style. So I own a CrossFit gym. I had to stop doing CrossFit. And this is one of the things that happens to a lot of people in my gym. I have a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of high achievers, and they love CrossFit because it gives them that feeling of like doing something. I'm doing something. It's intense. I'm earning something, right? That idea of you have to earn it. Okay. CrossFit gives people that. And I was having a conversation actually this last week with my best friend and our head coach. And we were talking about how it's so funny that when CrossFit first started, the thing that made it so good is the people who needed it were the ones who were finding it. The desk warriors, the tech entrepreneur, or like not even entrepreneurs, the people working in tech, the people who worked 9 to 5 and that they were seated. Those people need jolts of fight or flight. But as it's gone on, I feel like CrossFit continues to attract people who are already like type A entrepreneurs. Like their outside life, outside of the 1 hour in the gym, is already incredibly stressful, but they're attracted to CrossFit because of, again, that feeling of like, oh, I'm doing it, I'm earning it, right? And those are the people, honestly, who need the yin to the yang. They need the yoga, they need the massages, they need like the slow bodybuilding, right? But their brain, right, how they rationalize it, go, this is my therapy. Dog, CrossFit is not therapy, okay? It helps you numb yourself for about an hour if you're that kind of person, all right? And again, this is coming from somebody who owns a CrossFit gym. I love CrossFit. I think it is fantastic. I think it is a great fitness regimen, but I think a lot of people who are doing it 6 days a week, that are the entrepreneurs, that are the parents, that have stressful outside lives, you need to find better balance. I'm talking to you. You need better balance, okay? And that was me, right? Over the past year, what has happened for me is I've laid the armor down, okay? And I'm continuing to lay the armor down, right? I used achievement as a way to defend myself from all of the deeper emotions, from tough conversations that I need to have, from my childhood, etc. And now what I am doing is trying to work from a place of service, right? Being of service to others, trying to help others, not caring so much about the achievement side of it. I do workouts now, on half the time I'm not even logging my scores. Okay. And that's where I'm coming from as a recovering high achiever, somebody who is still having a hard time, but trying to not tie up his self-worth in what other people think of me from a achievement perspective. I'm good on it with other things, but making sure that I'm doing things for the genuine love and care for others, and not seeking external validation, not doing things because it's going to take me up another notch on the totem pole. Okay. If you feel like that is you, if you resonate with that, okay, now what we're going to talk about is like what I think you can do. If you're somebody who's felt like you've been just burning jet fuel your whole life, you're listening to this, you're a high level entrepreneur, you're like, I make 6 figures, dude. Okay. If you are the parent who feels like you're spinning 12 different plates at all times and you're always tired, right? What's coming up next is for you. All right. You need to find, I'm not even going to say balance. You need to find rest. Okay. It can be hard for people who are high achievers to sit with themselves because what comes up? And again, I know this from experience, but you are the kind of person who needs to realize we are human beings, not human doers, right? I know that's very cliche to say, but our value and self-worth is inherent. And whether you believe in God or whatever, right? But think of yourself when you were a little kid, like really little. Did you need to do anything to earn love? I'm hoping not when you were like a baby. If some of you were like, yeah, man, even at 3, I had to feel like okay, take yourself back to when you were first born. You didn't have to do anything to earn the love of your mother, right? She fed you, right? Whatever it is. But we grow up and we start to feel like we have to do. We have to be human doers to earn that love, to earn that validation and that value, okay? We need to start to go back to being, just being, there's inherent value in your soul, in your life. Okay. So you need to find pockets throughout your day where you find silence, where you find space for yourself. And again, I know you're like, oh, this is a cliche. It's the same, oh, I need to meditate and all that kind of stuff. No, what you need to do is be with yourself and then ask yourself why. Why are you doing the things you're doing? Are you doing them because you want to? Are you doing them because you need to? Are you doing them because validate? Like so many of us who are high achievers, we don't have enough time to sit with ourselves and ask us why we're doing anything. And then we have midlife crises, right? If you're an entrepreneur and you are, making six figures or whatever, and you're super externally successful, ask yourself, is the thing you're doing bringing joy to not only you, but those around you? Is there a deeper purpose? If not, you are going to be the kind of entrepreneur who gets burned out, who has a midlife crisis, who maybe continues to reach those external markers of success, but just feels empty in their soul. And I mean, we see stories of this all the time, the super financially successful people that have terrible home lives. They cheat, whatever it is. You find out they're a terrible father or whatever that is. And I would argue it's because they never sat down earlier on in their journey and asked themselves, why am I doing what I'm doing? Am I aligning my work life, my business life with a deeper purpose and meaning? And that doesn't mean the work you do even has to be that. It might mean that the work you're doing is in service of that. Like you do have people who they make great money doing what they do. It's not their main purpose, but they're able to use the funds that they make from that to be philanthropic or to, create groups and help others. That's okay. That's fine. That's great. Right. But you need to find purpose for what you're doing. Right. And so if you're a high achiever and you've gone through this life and you've never asked yourself that deeper question of why are you doing anything you're doing? Why are you doing the fitness regimen you're doing? Okay. If you're a high achiever listening to this and you do CrossFit, which is probably a lot of you, why? Why do you do CrossFit? You might have a very snap reaction to go to be fit. Go a little bit deeper. Like, why do you actually do CrossFit? Might get a little layer deeper and go, well, I like that I can turn my brain off for an hour. Why? Why do you like to turn your brain off for an hour? Well, I don't like my thoughts. Why? You can see, right? And it's like you're being like a little 7-year-old again. Why? But you start to get this. And again, I understand that it doesn't need to be that deep, but if you haven't done this work, if you haven't asked yourself these questions, some things might come up that help you realize some of the things you're doing you don't even like to do, right? Now, there might be some things you have to do in your life that you don't like to do that maybe they are necessary. I understand that. I get that. But there's probably a lot of things you do in your life, if you're a high achiever, right, that you don't like, that you don't actually have to do. You might have to have a tough conversation or make a tough decision, but you could be done with that thing you don't like to do and live a life that's more in purpose, more in service, whatever it is. The biggest thing, if you are a high achiever, that you need to do to start integrating all of maybe the self-help, all of the nutrition, all of the workouts, whatever it is lay down the armor of achievement as something that is to be proud of. And start understanding, like, make a list of all of your achievements throughout this life and just ask yourself the question, was this one actually meaningful to me, my soul, or was this one done in pursuit of, again, that external validation, that armor of achievement? What you'll find is probably a through line on the things where it was actually purposeful and where it was something meaningful. And my guess is that probably has to do with things that serviced your family, serviced your community, maybe serviced yourself in a way where you felt like you were growing for the genuine actuality of becoming a better person. Okay. So it sounds simple, but if you're a high achiever, entrepreneur, parent, whatever it is, simply sitting down and asking yourself the question of why on both fronts. Why are you currently doing the things you're doing? And then why or how did your past achievements actually help you, or what were they oriented to, can help you create a better picture moving forward. And then you can start making decisions in reality here where you start to see yourself living a little bit different life moving forward. It's not that you're not going to still be a high achiever. You're always going to be a high achiever, but it's that you can start aligning some of those achievements or those things in a deeper rooted meaning. right? So the things that you start doing are genuinely meant for something bigger than you. And again, that could be spiritual, that could be God, that could be your community, but it's not about you, right? It's about being of service for others. And with that, there will be achievement, there will be external validation. But again, the underlying why is what will matter, because if it's in service of those other things, it's going to be easy. It's going to, the energy that comes with that is abundant. It's not, it never taps out because it's not about you, right? It's about other things. It's about things bigger than you, other people. And that just keeps you energetic all day, every day, right? But when things are about you, or your achievements or external validation, it's really easy to ride the waves energetically. When people are giving you praise, you're riding high. When people aren't, you're riding low. Okay. And if you want to have a more integrative life between your health, between your self betterment, between your spirituality, whatever it is, that's how you're going to do it. I mean, for one last example, health can seem very selfish, I guess, right? I want to, we talked about it last week, that people want to live forever, whatever. If you ask yourself genuinely and you get to this place where I want to be healthy so I can be the best version of myself, because the best version of myself is the best father, best husband, best mother, best leader, that, and you genuinely mean it, it's going to be so much easier for you to stick to health protocols or to invest in your health, because you realize it's not about you. It's not about having a six pack. It's not about any of those things. It's about being around for your grandkids. It's about all these things you can do for others and for something outside of yourself. It's not about the external validation or the achievement for, how fit you are or anything like that. So again, even as something as maybe selfish sounding as fitness or health, when done in service of being a better version of yourself for everybody around you, it becomes a lot easier to do. And again, you're laying that achievement, that armor down. You can go into the gym and not need a leaderboard, not need a PR things. You can go, I'm here to do the work so I can be a better version of myself after this workout. And I'm going to stack days like that. And it's going to be about who I am in 20 years from a health perspective. Take that same fundamental principle to every area of your life. Watch your life change as a high achiever. You will not only continue to achieve, you will be able to do it more regularly from a place of abundant energy, and you will feel fulfilled 5, 10, 15 years from now, whether that's in your business, your relationships, or your health. Okay, so if you're a high achiever, entrepreneur, I hope that helps. It may seem simple, but most of the best advice is simple. It's that we as people overcomplicate it. So if you're not a high achiever or whatever entrepreneur and you listen to this, thank you. Send it to somebody who needs to. But again, it's pretty simple. If you want to start living a different life, start asking yourself the deeper questions of why you're doing anything you're doing, why you did things in the past, which one of those things actually aligned with the kind of person you want to be, what gave you actual genuine joy, and try to do more of that moving forward and stop seeking achievement or external validation. Instead, start seeking alignment, start seeking happiness, start seeking the integration of what you do with a higher purpose and service for others, for community, for a better version of yourself. And again, watch your life genuinely change. Lay the armor down if you are a high achiever. Your achievements should be in service of others, not your ego. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Again, if you're not already like the podcast, send it to somebody. Subscribe if you're on the YouTube channel. Subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, whatever it is. Again, there is a written version of this as well on the Inner Republic on Substack. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you in the next episode.